Hello again, and yes, hopefully you saw the last video and you thought, I gotta go and see more of this guy, so here I am, and as promised, I'm gonna be talking all about cake. Not just any old cake though, the science of cake, and we're gonna make a cake in a mug. Now you may have seen these all over YouTube, real popular videos. So we thought we'd use a recipe from our friends from Sorted to make a sorted cappuccino chocolate cake in a mug. So, let's start. What you're gonna need is these ingredients that we've got here. We've got some self-raising flour, we've got some sugar, we've got some cocoa powder, some coffee, we've also got some eggs, some oil, and some milk. We're gonna put them in a cup, we're gonna throw it in the microwave, we're gonna heat it up, and then we're gonna eat it, because that's how quick and easy it is. So, let's start with the flour. We're gonna put our dry ingredients into the cup. We're gonna start with 2 tablespoons of flour. And this isn't any old flour, this is self-raising flour. Now, self-raising flour is different from normal flour in that it has these things called leavening agents. And leavening basically is just something that you can put in to cause it to produce carbon dioxide. Now, the thing is, carbon dioxide is really important when you're making cakes and stuff because it makes them more fluffy. You get these bubbles of air which actually get trapped in the structure. Now, the structure actually comes from the flour and a bit from the eggs, but we'll get back to that. And what it is in the flour that causes that is something called gluten. So, we've got our 2 tablespoons of flour. Let's put in our next dry ingredient. Now, sugar, obviously, as you all know, is a sweetener, but that's not the only thing it does in this lovely cake in a mug. It also prevents the gluten from forming as much because it stops the 2 proteins that form and combine to make gluten from actually forming as much. So the sugar helps you to have a more moist cake. This one is pretty obvious. It's cocoa powder. It's just basically to make it taste like chocolate. We got some granulated coffee. We're gonna throw that in, give us some nice cappuccino goodness. So let's add the wet ingredients. Now, what provides the most moisture in our situation is actually an egg, surprisingly enough. Now, eggs are really handy, really good things to cook with. They do quite a lot in the cake. Not only does it provide moisture, it also helps to provide structure. The egg in the mix obviously starts to harden. We've all seen a boiled egg, it hardens. When you cook egg, it hardens. That's a process called denaturing of proteins. The proteins basically change shape. They break down and change shape, and they can't be undone. They just remain in that shape. That's why you can't uncook an egg. So once they form that harder and stronger lattice, the bubbles are trapped inside it, and it helps to keep its form. So eggs are really good at helping to keep the form of the structure once it's made. Now we're gonna put in a tablespoon of oil, and we're also gonna put in a tablespoon of milk. Let's give it a quick stir, shall we? That smells awesome. Now, we gotta heat it all up, because as you know, if you heat stuff up, reactions increase. So we're gonna heat this all up for about 2.5 minutes in the microwave and see if we can get a lovely cake in a mug. Yeah. Check that out. There we go. A cake in a mug. Now, it might look a bit different from the cake you might be used to, you know, the grown-up cakes that you put in an oven, and that's because the surface is actually a lot softer. It hasn't got that hard caramelized top that you usually expect, you know, the golden brown crispiness on a normal Victoria type sponge, or the crispy coating, the caramelized top on a normal cake. The reason being is that when you put it in an oven, the oven is a lot hotter, up to about typically 180 or more degrees centigrade. But this won't really get much beyond about 100 degrees C, which means that you don't really get that caramelization. But doesn't mean it won't taste nice. So before we forget, oh yeah, and by the way, that reaction is called the maillard reaction, when it gets a bit brown on the top. But it happens in other foods as well, so we might talk about that in another head steam video. But, you know, what use is a cake without some lovely toppings? So, while I'm eating this, maybe you might want to go and make your own, try it out. That is good.